And now today, without further ado, this is a chapter from my audiobook, Codelines and Bloodlines. Let me know what you think in the comments. Enjoy.
"One of the cruisers," Eugene said, looking in the rear view. "It's gaining." "Can you lose it?" They accelerated through dilapidated roads, storefronts whipping by. Eugene turned a hard right at the last second, and the armadillo skidded across the asphalt, then kicked up a plume of dust where the streets met the wastes. The hand-painted cruiser, long and sleek with two open tiers full of troops, deftly rounded the corner and accelerated. Its engine was virtually silent. "That didn't work," Red commented, strapping on his armor. Eugene weaved the armadillo between dunes, around a stripped mechan suit, and over another hill. Each time they avoided an obstacle or made a move, the Voladent behind them not only matched their maneuvers, but closed in. The soldiers wore deep red body armor, with a symbol emblazoned on their chests. Two capital A's turned on their sides with the bottoms of their legs touching. Smaller symbols, illegible from the exhumer's point of view, adorned their lapels. Then a voice spoke over their loudspeaker. "This is Commander Lyle Staton. You are hereby under detainment by order of Mrs. White of the Annexers Alliance. Stop at once, and the penalty will be less severe." Craig counted 20 soldiers on it, plus the commander and driver in a cockpit below deck. "Make them think about it," Craig told Eugene, who began to decelerate. Red pulled his gloves on, looking at Craig. "Mind if I open the negotiations?" Craig nodded. Red sat in the chair and pulled the lever, zooming up to the cannon. Moira grabbed an energy carbine off the rack. Craig picked up Red's tri-barrel sniper cannon, last used against the errant vehicles in the wastes. "Take care of that," Red yelled down, peeking between his legs. "And it kicks like a horse." Craig nodded, snapping the cannon stand open. "You ready?" he asked Moira. Moira shrugged uncertainly. He kissed her, and she smirked. "Strange timing," she commented. "I thought you could use a confidence boost. Now, let's give them our answer," Craig said. He kicked the door open and fired. He almost fell backwards as the cannon recoiled almost a foot. With a thunderous boom, the round penetrated the line of men, exiting out the last and blowing the top off a dune 100 feet away. The remains splattered on the deck. Moira fired into the driver's cabin. The glass cracked but didn't shatter. Red pulled the receiver back and fired, obliterating troops on the second tier. At this point, the rest had taken cover. A few ducked behind rotatable shields and returned fire. Craig pulled the door closed as they fired, then shot again, blowing one of the support beams in half. The cruiser sidled up to the armadillo and something thudded on the roof. Red yelled out and drew his handgun. The chair suddenly dropped with him and 2 soldiers on it. He elbowed one in the head, shot the second, then stood and threw the first out the back door. "Watch it!" Craig yelled, as 2 more dropped down. The men carried blades and batons. One swung at Craig, who blocked it with the cannon. They traded swings in the tight space, while Red struggled with the other man. Craig used the cannon's butt to knock his adversary away, then hit him across the head. The Alliance soldier fell backward and vanished into the sands behind them. Red used his opponent's own hand to thrust the blade through his midsection. The man slumped over. The cruiser, now empty, veered off. "They're running!" Moira yelled. "No, no, no," Red said to himself as he got back in his chair. "They don't call the shots." "Get up next to them," Craig instructed Eugene. Eugene rounded a dune and came up beside the Alliance. The driver and commander's faces went white. Red aimed the cannon and fired into the driver's side. The engines beneath the cabin exploded, and the Voladent dove head first, flipping once and coming to a stop upside down behind them. "Go back!" Craig barked. "Let's make sure they're dead." As the armadillo closed in, a shaky voice rose from the cockpit. "Mayday! Mayday! We're down! Out in the waste somewhere! Activating homing beacon now!" Craig jumped out the back doors and walked up to the passenger side. Commander Stanton was still strapped in upside down. He held his comm in one bloody hand. He drew his handgun and pointed it in the commander's face. "Turn it off!" The commander ignored him. "Mrs. White, do you read me? I have activated the beacon. The insurgents are beside me. Need reinforcements." Red wrenched open the partly crushed door. Then he cut the strap holding the commander in his seat and dragged him from the wreckage. He stood Stanton up as the commander continued his pleas into his comm. Without breaking eye contact, Craig reached up and removed the device from Stanton's hand. No one's coming for you. You're all alone. Moira came up alongside Craig and held up a little device. It's off. Stanton stood as straight as he could muster the energy for, holding his side where blood trickled from a wound. He was about 6 feet tall, with thin, straw-like hair and a pronounced chin. His tattered cape barely clung to his shoulder clasps. You're not the field general type, Eugene remarked, leaning on his rifle. You don't have enough armor to stop a knife, let alone a bullet. Where's your helm? The soldiers wore helms. Stanton breathed in deeply. I am Commander Lyle Stanton, of the Annexers Alliance. You were trespassing on our land. You were to be remanded in our detention center until we discerned what your purpose was, and you shot my helm off when you tried to kill me. Well, Lyle, we're not being remanded, Craig stated. We're not going to the detention center, and no one owns this land. He slowly circled Stanton. Now, who's Mrs. White? The commander fidgeted but tried to reinforce his authority. She's in charge of the Annexers Alliance. You may know her as the Harbinger. We have imperial rule over this country, given to us by our ruler. We control everything and everyone within it. Drexel hasn't had a president in over 60 years. Who gave you this authority? Moira asked. We only know of him as Rex Regum. He only speaks with Mrs. White. He has given us the power to rule. Sounds like some bullshit to me, Red retorted. No one is a ruler around here. Stanton smirked at Red. Oh, but he is. He is the uniter of the clans that could not be united. He created the alliance. Without him, we would be fighting over scraps for eternity. He has given us a directed purpose, a linear goal. This goal involves murdering innocent people, Craig asked, stopping in front of him again. Women, children, the elderly. How could you do such a thing? Are you inhuman? Stanton retained his wry smile. They were given chances. A few, in fact. It was all laid out for them. They chose the hard way, and they were weak. Why are you telling us all this? Eugene asked. Why give this information willingly? Yeah, we haven't even hit you yet, Red added. You're kinda killing the fun. Stanton turned to Eugene and shrugged casually. You won't be alive long enough for it to matter. Eugene then said, You blew up our home. She blew it up, your leader. She destroyed everything and everyone. Poetic, I think, to be the destroyer of your own society. Also infinitely stupid. They got what they deserved, and you will too. At the word stupid, Craig's blood boiled. His vision became a pinpoint. Everything else had gone red. He tackled Stanton to the ground and slammed his head into the hard earth. He punched the commander's face over and over again until his knuckles bled. Craig! Moira cried. Craig, stop! He grabbed a rock the size of a melon and brought it down on Stanton's head with both hands. The commander's legs jerked violently. Then he went still.